All right, so today we're going to tear into a really interesting, kind of aggressive do-it-yourself credit repair strategy. It comes from this popular online guide called The Credit Sniper. So let's just dive right in.
You know that feeling, right? If you've ever had to deal with credit problems, it's just awful. It feels like you're stuck, totally trapped in this system where one mistake from years ago can just follow you around forever. It can make you feel completely powerless.
But what if you could flip the script? What if you could get, well, aggressive? This guide, The Credit Sniper, basically reframes the whole idea of credit repair. It's not about politely asking for forgiveness. No, it's a fight you can actually wage yourself. And just to be super clear, we're not endorsing this, we're simply breaking down the tactics and the mindset from this one particular guide. Okay, so first things first, let's really get into the mindset behind this whole method. So the core philosophy, the big idea, is this. You're not asking for anything. This is a strategic battle. And your main weapon? Consumer protection law. The whole point is to use the law to force the credit bureaus to prove, and I mean really prove with signed verifiable documents, that every single negative thing on your report actually belongs there. You're flipping the script and putting the entire burden of proof squarely on their shoulders. All right, so before you even start the fight, the guide lays out what it calls the credit commandments. Think of it as preparing your defenses. And check out that first step. Freeze the secondaries first. Now, these are kind of like the lesser-known data agencies that the big credit bureaus use behind the scenes for verification. But the big takeaway here, it's all about meticulous organization. The guide is pretty clear. You're not just firing off some letters, you're building a legal case from the ground up. Okay, so with that whole philosophy in mind, let's see how the guide actually structures its plan of attack. So, the guide itself has this like 10-step checklist, but we can really boil it down to this 4-step battle plan. And the sequence is super important. First, you freeze those secondary bureaus we just talked about. Then, you clean up all your personal info on your reports to get rid of any confusion. Then, you make a detailed hit list of every single negative item you're going to challenge. And only after all that groundwork is done do you actually launch the dispute campaign. So what does that actually look like in practice? Let's get into the dispute campaign itself. Okay, this quote right here, from the very first dispute letter template, it totally sets the tone. Just listen to the language. I demand to see verifiable proof. Wow, it's not asking, right? It's commanding. And by getting super specific, saying it has to be an original consumer contract with my signature, it's setting an incredibly high bar for the bureaus to clear. And this whole campaign, it's not just one letter and you're done. Oh no, it's a whole series of escalations. You can see here how it progresses. In round 1, you're pretty formal. You're citing the law, you're demanding proof. But by round 4, if that negative item is still there, the gloves are totally off. The language becomes openly threatening. You start citing specific laws for monetary damages. You're dropping phrases like notice of pending litigation, and you're making a final offer before you supposedly haul them into court. It is all about cranking up the pressure step by step. So what's in this tactical arsenal? Well, the guide gives you a whole suite of letter templates, basically pre-written for almost any situation you could possibly run into.
But okay, let's talk about something else. Beyond the big stuff like charge-offs or collections, the guide has this really specific, kind of clever tactic for one of the most annoying dings on a credit score: hard inquiries. So how does it say you should handle those?
Okay, this part is pretty wild. The guide points to this one company, SageStream, and calls it the secret bureau. Here's the claim. When you go to dispute a hard inquiry with the big three, Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, they often just turn around and ask SageStream to verify it. So the tactic is brilliant in its simplicity. You cut them off at the source. The guide says you should put a security freeze on your SageStream file before you even start disputing the inquiries. The whole idea is that you make it way harder, maybe even impossible, for the big bureaus to get the verification they need. When you boil it all down, the entire strategy, all the letters, the freezes, the paperwork, it all comes down to one single crucial personal trait. And here it is. This is the core motivational message of the whole guide. It's telling you straight up that this process is designed to be a grind. It's going to be tough. It even says the bureaus will probably deny your claims or say they've verified accounts, but it frames every single setback as just part of the process. So, according to this philosophy, the single most important factor, the thing that will make or break your success, is just persistence. So after walking through this whole method, it really leaves you with a pretty fundamental question, doesn't it? The entire Credit Sniper approach kind of forces you to look at your credit file in a totally new way. Is it really a permanent, unchangeable record of fact, or is it just the opening bid in a negotiation?